Hello, everyone. This is Piyush here from Keystone, and I have Abhijit Bhaduri. Before I introduce him, we are here to have a conversation on the whole virtual landscape in the HR space, right? Abhijit, it would be good if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Piyush. I'm Abhijit Bhaduri. I'm a leadership coach, and I also work as a talent management advisor to organizations across the world. And I am the author of the latest book called Dreamers and Unicorns. So that's really about me.
No, good to have you here, Abhijit. So, the whole idea of having this conversation was to understand in this changing environment how the virtual space is affecting the HR community or the HR ecosystem. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, sure. So if you see what the forced lockdown has done across the world for the very first time, everybody has gone through the same experience of, the office has moved into the home. And we are sort of, we have been in a scenario where at first we saw work moving to the cloud, so organizations were able to sort of host the work on the cloud. Then we've sort of seen the second phase, which is that talent is also available in the cloud, which is because you also have people who can be sourced right across. So if I'm on LinkedIn, you can connect with me there, and so the resumes of the entire world has already gone onto the cloud, so you can source from anywhere. Now this pandemic has brought in the third place, which is that the workplace has moved to the cloud, and that could be, everything that you had in the office. So whether it's a meeting room, you can have that in the cloud. You can do your own work, one-on-one conversations with somebody, through the virtual space. And of course, you can hold your conferences, you can hold your discussion rooms, your entertainment, everything that you ever did, from shopping to entertainment to work, everything has really moved into the cloud. So this is the last phase of that digital journey, which I think everyone has been pushed into.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, for us, the virtual has changed business quite a bit, right? And we've connected with a lot of HR folks over these last 10, 12 months post the pandemic hit us, right? And for example, to start with recruitment, you've mentioned that, right? So the way recruitment is done is suddenly changed, right? Obviously,
Absolutely.
physical environment is doesn't exist anymore, right? So how do you hire talent on the cloud, right? And across universities, across various recruitment drives that take place, right? So what we just to kind of give you a perspective of how for us when we are looking at recruitment has changed, and recruitment is one piece of it. There is recruitment, there's talent management, there is engagement, training, all of that, as a whole, there's a lot of effect that happens. But to start with, uh, from a recruitment point of view, we've seen that what we did was we kind of built a online virtual platform over the last 10 months, and we've seen HR adopting to this beautifully. So generally, there is a saying that it takes a little time to get the HR team to adopt tech, but I can tell you that in this case it's been very, very different. We've seen the HR community adopt to it very well, and the space has been used. For example, for a client of ours, we built an environment where we can have hundreds of students come online, go through the
Mhm.
whole interview process together, right? Without someone else to travel, senior management can talk to them, right?
Sure.
Shortlisting happens there. The other piece it does is it builds, you can build your whole brand on the cloud space, where someone who's trying to decide on whether this organization is good for me or not kind of goes through everything there available in a very immersive manner, and can decide that yes, this organization is good for me. And from an organization point of view, what works beautifully is that they can build a connect with the individual in the right manner, right? And then
Absolutely.
the whole assessment works out well, on the platform. The whole data part of it, that imagine you've been in HR and in different organizations and heading in the CXO role, right? So
Sure.
you had to figure out that, okay, uh, who's the right candidate for me, eventually you will depend on someone who's on ground and trying to figure out that, okay, this is what is happening, or this is the individual that we should hire. Here, data can tell you that these are the top 10 guys basis how they have behaved on the platform that you should definitely look at, right? So I think things have evolved overall in a virtual cloud space, from where I've seen it or we've seen it as an organization.
Oh, completely. I mean, if you see, traditionally, we've always said that HR is the function which depends on very high touch. But
Hmm.
it's really, if you think about it, when you are scaling up an organization, the only way you can have high touch is
Right.
when the organization is able to leverage technology. So when you think about whether it's attracting talent, whether it's developing talent, or whether it's even the whole process of engaging people who are in the workspace. How do you do it in the online space? This has been really the big shift that everyone has had to adapt to. So you're absolutely spot on, Piyush, because when you think about the way hiring gets done today, even a CEO of a company, gets hired, through a completely virtual process. They get
Absolutely.
started in a virtual manner, so without even stepping into the physical office. And they've
Right.
done their meetings. They've, finished not just 1 or 2 days, but they've finished almost a year of their work virtually without actually having met a single person, physically in person in the office space. So yes, it's a very different way of doing things, and I think there's a tremendous advantage in which you can scale up, the HR processes using the virtual platforms.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And as we move on, and basis some conversation that we've had, and maybe you can throw a light in that, is that with the success that people have seen online, which is from what we've seen is the whole recruitment process has seen a in our case when compared to on ground is a
Yeah.
5x effectiveness of it, right? So even when things open up, some of this looks to continue to be online. People, for example, what we are building is we're building an online recruitment center, learning center. So now what can happen is you can continue to use that for your masses, where you are saying that, okay, when I'm going to a campus recruitment, I give a link to the entire institute and say, here it is, you can log in, there's a registration process, and you boom, there, right? And you might just continue to do it after pandemic. Why would you spend time in travel? I know I have friends who've said, okay, we're going through a recruitment process, and I said, okay, fine. Why is it so stressful? Because we are going through a 7 day recruitment process where the process starts at maybe 7 a.m., 8 a.m. in the morning, and then continues till midnight, and then
Oh,
that's how it is.
absolutely.
So yeah, I think post pandemic also, from where we are seeing it, it should continue. The adaptation of it should only go up rather than go down.
Oh, it will. I mean, if you look at it, any time when you see such a significant shift happening, it's a little bit like the rubber band kind of a thing that when you stretch it back all the way,
Mhm.
even when you leave it,
Yeah.
it does tend to sort of, have a little different shape than what it used to be. So yes, the workspace, you probably see a hybrid workplace. So some of the people, a small percentage may come back, but the ability to the ease, the efficiency with which you can use the workspaces. You talked about a learning center. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've had the opportunity to build learning spaces for different organizations I've been a part of. One of the biggest challenges is when you build a learning center, in one particular location, wherever that might be. When you build it in whichever city, then there is this recurring cost of getting people in. So, whether it's the faculty, it sort of limits how many times you can call them. Especially sort of if you're calling somebody from another country, it just becomes a very expensive process of flying them down. They come in, they are jet lagged, and they can't sort of immediately take on, and then they go back, they are jet lagged. So, it's a very, very inefficient process for the faculty. It's inefficient also for the participants because they just, when they come into a workplace meeting, they're finishing their work, they somehow jump onto a plane, they get started, and it's not the best environment in which you learn. So you need to be, far more settled. You need to be able to be more comfortable in that whole space, both the faculty as well as the participants. So the difference that an online process can make is just incredible. So just shortly after the lockdown happened last year, um, I was supposed to be there at the Adobe Summit conference. 22,000 people, attended the conference. It was not a glitch. I mean, everything went on. You interacted with the people, you connected with your friends, and everything was possible. So, yes, you're totally right. I mean, doing things in an organization is a much smaller scale and far easily done. Whether it's recruitment or development or employee engagement, it's just so much easier to just get somebody into a meeting room and just have a quick chat if you want to bounce an idea off. So yes.
Absolutely. So the change of it, and because it was forced change, it was not a change which everyone wanted. Because it's a forced change, people have kind of quickly had to adapt to it. And with the benefits one see, I think it's phenomenal. For example, you were talking about the whole learning part of it, right? And if you build an online virtual center, learning center, think about it.
Yeah.
You can actually learn from people across the globe, right? Which can be very tedious every time. But here, okay, I want to do a training. Here it is. I have someone from US, I have someone from UK, I have someone from Australia, all trying to share their knowledge on how different markets work and able to
Absolutely.
give you that guidance and learn from best practices. I think that's kind of opened up big time. And you can, what a virtual platform also does is you can record all of these trainings, right, while you're
Yeah. Yeah.
through it, right? And then if someone else comes in, the learning becomes so fast because you know that, okay, here is a topic, here it is, a live session that took place, and I can go understand it, and a link where you can say, here it is. If you want to connect with the trainer, you can click on it and start having a conversation with the faculty or trainer right away.
Right. Right.
You can,
Absolutely. I mean, and if you look at the way Amazon has reinvented the book reading process,
yeah.
so you can have my set of books is right behind me. So there's a set of books that I can have. But imagine when I'm traveling anywhere, it's very hard for me to carry this along. So, and what that Kindle does is it allows me to take this entire bookshelf with me wherever I'm traveling. So the opportunity to read and leverage the stuff on demand is infinitely higher. The only catch that I would have is that if you see that the adoption, you talked about adoption in the early stages of our conversation. So Piyush, I think the adoption, when it is done like this at a stretch, it may not sort of replace the entire physical experience 100%, but I think it replaces a very large part of it, and both coexist. So it's not like I've stopped buying books, but certainly bulk of the books that I read are, in the cloud, and so I can purchase something. The fact that I could not step out of my home during the lockdown did not impact my reading experience at all, because I was able to buy the books online, have it, even if I wanted to buy it online as a physical copy, it would still get delivered to me through the e-commerce process, which is again virtual. So I think the ease of that experience is absolutely phenomenal. So yes, you are spot on.
Yeah, actually. So yeah, it's what will depend is how much comes back post pandemic, right? How much, you gave the example of the rubber band, right? There are certain rubber bands come as close to 90%. There are certain which kind of, come back to about 50% of what it was, right? Some of these, conversations that we've had looks like, post pandemic, people, it becomes a hybrid for sure. There is no question about it, on people coming back on the touch and feel and then using the virtual part of it, right? What I feel is, when I see internationally, I think there is a lot more adoption internationally on the virtual space. So I see there people continue to be more on virtual than the touch and feel of it. In a market like India, it kind of will behave a little differently from people wanting to go back and then still continuing to be online. that's there. I still think the learning might just still continue a lot more online than physical, because it kind of becomes.
I would sort of, if you sort of contrast it with many of the Western cultures, I think in a collectivist society like ours, people crave interactions a lot more, being in that same physical space. So potentially you will see a little more perhaps of that, but I think the reset is reasonably sharp. But even in the Western world, if you sort of look at it, there are some industries where, for that particular project, you may want to have those five people back into a common coffee shop or a workspace or whatever that might be. But this whole model that, I think working remotely just throws open many more possibilities. You can actually work with, people right across the globe. So for the kind of work that I do today, it has actually expanded the set of countries where I can, offer my work. Because I don't need to budget for the time that, if I go there, then I'm going to spend 2 days going there. I finish this thing, then it's going to take me another 2 days, 24 hours to go to another country. Do you think I should allow for a little bit of time? And so, all the buffer that you're building in actually gets just completely shrunk, and it disappears. So in that sense, you can actually do much more. So yes, that advantage continues.
Yes, and I was just having a part of panel discussion recently on what is the future of work kind of environment, right? That, and more so from an entrepreneur kind, mindset. And
Mhm.
touched upon the whole talent piece of it, and globally, what is happening is, and for an entrepreneurship kind of an environment, and even for a mid-sized, large organizations also, right? We can have talent from anywhere now. It doesn't
Yeah.
restrict us from saying, okay, now because we are based out of this country, I can only have talent here. You would imagine, we have people working, look at India as an example for us. We have people working across India, from North India
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
the remotest of eastern part of the country, to western,
Yeah.
to central, to south. So we have people across, which we never imagined, that something like this could even be possible, right? Now with the whole virtual space, virtual workspace that's coming up, right, which is there. I think that's kind of helping shape things up very well from a talent pool management kind of a thing, for the when HR has to hire. For example, we've been on this spree of hiring, because the whole technology has taken a good shape for us, so we're hiring a lot of people. And the good thing is, in that column of which city, that's gone.
Yeah,
People.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That, in fact, Piyush, if you look at it, it happened in the early days of the pandemic, because in the first phase, with very limited notice, we all had to move the stuff, to the home. So it sort of really became work from home became the first stop. A little later, a lot of people said, if I'm not going to the office, then it doesn't matter. I don't have to be in the same city where my office is, so I'll go back to my hometown. So work from home, that WFH, actually became work from hometown.
Yeah,
And subsequently that hometown also disappeared, and said that, why could I not work from the hill station, or from the beach, or from another country, depending on what the case might be. So worker, and workplace, all three of them have become boundaryless. In fact, in my book Dreamers and Unicorns, that's the very first shift that I talk about, that
Mhm.
work will become completely boundaryless. Just as much as today, a book that gets published earlier, if I think about my own experience as a writer, when you publish a book, then you have to really wait for. So why did the authors have to do a sort of a city tour? When I
Mhm.
launched my first book, I did a 11 city tour. The
Wow.
reason is, that's when the book is reaching that particular city, so you invite all the readers and say, okay, now that the book is here, why don't you take a look at it?
Right.
Today, in this entire scenario, in the virtual world, it's just available worldwide, at the very same time. So it just changes the way, the experience of a reader is. You're not waiting. for the book to happen in your city, and then you will go out, and maybe the day it arrives, you are not free. All of that constraint disappears. So the opportunity for instant gratification
Yeah.
is very high in the virtual world.
Oh, it is absolutely, and you're bang on saying that you don't have to travel so much. You can do all of it, sitting at your home and then connecting with so many people
Yeah.
across. So the other challenge that comes in the virtual world, which people have asked that question, is when you meet, right, you are able to build a culture, right, in the organization, right. But now that you're not meeting and you're only meeting virtually, right, couple of things that have come up is how does culture play a role, right? How does an HR professional say, okay, how do you help in building the culture around, and how do we engage with people more often so that you're connected and you can take care of the retention part and all. So what's your thought on that?
Yeah. So let me sort of put across a kind of a premise in terms of which can be used regardless of whether you're thinking about hiring or culture building or this whole process. We have over the last 100 odd years since the industrial revolution, we've got an idea of how do you create the norms of the workplace. So what are the kind of norms for dressing in the, do you wear casual clothes, you wear a tie, do you do it
Yeah,
only on one particular day? All of that is sort of well understood. You also have timings, so you'll all get in at 9 o'clock and we'll do this. Some organizations encourage working late, some don't. Some say you can call me on a weekend, some don't. So all those kind of processes have been well documented. And then comes this whole element of the social aspect. So, do you wish people on their birthday? Do you sort of, how do you wish? Do you do it after office? Do you bring a cake into the office? Or various other ways. And you can have your own version of these conversations. When people move from one office to the other, they also start to notice some differences. For example, in the meetings, who speaks more? That's a great example of how hierarchical the place might be. So, in a meeting, does the CEO or the head of the business or the most senior person, does he or she take up 90% of the airtime? Um, Also, you could make out hierarchy by looking at where's the person sitting at the head of the table, somewhere on the side. Today in the virtual space, that's become so much more egalitarian. If you ask me, that's one of the really positive things that has happened. Everybody, the square or rectangle in which you are operating is the same as the one that I'm doing, and that's the great democratization of the virtual space. So if you have 30 people, all 30 have the same amount of space on the screen. So um, so that creates an advantage. It's an advantage because it's very hard to then sort of really, somebody who's new doesn't need to sort of say that, oh, okay, when that big rectangle or big square speaks up, that means that's the senior most person. There's no such thing. What it also, however, the downside of this whole process, which we haven't yet figured out well, is that how do we do the little side conversations to be able to understand the body language of the other people in the room? Because then you are sort of really looking at this. So then, when people start to use the chat rooms, they do the private chats, and all that can then, somebody can say that, you might, hey, Piyush, why don't you raise this particular question? Or, you might want to talk about this example instead. So those are
right.
all the things that can come up. Or, the boss can nudge somebody and say, I would really like you to answer that question and not me, because it's a good opportunity for you to present your case. So those
Right.
are all the possibilities which are there. We just have to get used to doing things in this particular fashion. So I think, but yeah, I mean, everybody has been doing that for a year's time, and so that I think definitely exists.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think very valid points on the boss front and the culture piece of it. I think we all have to benefit from that for sure, right? What other thing it has done is, to get people together, right? So if you have a culture which is very well documented, which is, one is the process part of it, but then, for example, for us, it's what we've documented is we've documented the leadership culture, the work culture, the whole client culture. So people know
Right.
that I have these. If I have to decide myself, if I follow these rules, I'm kind of taken care of. And if I make a mistake by following this, it's okay. No worries on that front. Not everything goes the way you plan every time. But if you can be in that realm, then it is okay, right? So that kind of has helped us. You know, even in the virtual world, keep the culture intact. The other thing that has helped is, and which is what a lot of the customers have also benefited on using our platform, is the whole engagement part of it, right? So, you said timings, right? While uh, you don't define timings anymore, but one complaint is that, okay, in the virtual world there is no time. People call every time. You are expected to be available throughout, right? So how do you kind of have those moments where you're not thinking about work, where you're coming together and just having fun, where you're rewarded, you're recognized, right? We've had a lot of our customers use the platform for something like that, where we've had not just the annual award. So the good thing about virtual is you don't have to wait for only annual award to be given,
Yeah.
because that's something you've kept your budget aside. But because the cost is so low, you can actually say, I can actually do a monthly recognition
Yeah.
team,
Yeah. Yeah.
do a quarterly
No,
recognition.
very simple. Piyush, typically what happens is, so let's say if I were to sort of do a town hall,
Yeah,
and depending on the, if I've worked in some large organizations,
exactly.
then what happens is you have to find the auditorium which can accommodate so many people, because in case you don't have your own auditorium, so then the auditorium is not available on that particular day. Then you are sort of thinking, oh, should we then do it in a hotel? Should we do it like this? I mean, should we make it open air so more people can come in? All of those constraints which are there, because that's reality. You can't sort of, if you're going to have 700 people, you need space which can accommodate 700 people. Then you need catering which can handle 700 people. So it's not something you can do at the drop of a hat. Whereas now, if let's say today we decided that we are going to invite 700 people to join into this conversation, that's an easy one to do. So yes, absolutely. The speed with which you can operate is just absolutely phenomenal. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like for example, you can actually have 50,000 people for a
Yep.
large organization coming together and going through the whole process, which was obviously impossible earlier, right? Yes, thank you so much. I think we're running short of time, Abhijit, but glad talking to you. I thank you for sharing, all your experience with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation too.
No, thank you, Piyush. Yeah, this is the new world that we are going in, and we are all trying to sort of learn the norms of this place. But it's such an exciting journey, and thank you so very much for having me, here. And it was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure, pleasure, absolutely. Thank you.